So I put together a sample page of some simple jQuery DOM manipulation, and I don't want to type it out because we know that if I type it out I'm probably going to make a bunch of errors. So I'm giving this to you straight up, and you can kind of play with it as you go and make your own page. So actually, if you look at my HTML, it's a very simple page. I have here a list, and I just put some inline style because I was too lazy to make a external sheet, and it's really not necessary. But notice that I do have IDs in both of these items. This is change me and hide me, and then I have move me here, these IDs down here. It's important to have IDs on all of your items because that is how JavaScript and jQuery are able to identify the things that you have on the page. So just having just a bunch of different things. I just put lists and pictures and divs and just silly stuff. I would like you to try to make a coherent project of something. Obviously I did this in 20 minutes or something like that. So anyway, I have all of these different items with IDs. Down here at the bottom of the page, I'm also linking to my jQuery code. Remember that you do need to have the HTTP here in the front if you're grabbing it from the CDN site. And also it has to end in JS. If it's ending in .com or something like that, you don't have the right link. And sometimes they'll say get it from such and such a page, but it'll be a jQuery or code.jquery.com right here, for instance. You can't just leave it at that. It has to actually go to the JavaScript code. Then additionally, I put all of my little functions down here in another JavaScript or another script tag that opens and closes. Now I wrapped all of my functions here inside of one document ready function. Remember, with jQuery you always want to check to see if your document is ready, but you only have to do that once. Don't do that with every function that you write. Because we have all these little blips that we're writing. You don't want to check every single time. It's not necessary. So this opens here, and that actually closes down here at the bottom. As we saw today, you have to make sure that you are matching all of your curly braces and parentheses, because if you don't have even sets, and this is matching here and this is matching here, if you don't have even sets, you're going to get messed up. So it's always safer to put your matched sets of curly braces or parentheses and then put your cursor in between and start typing there so that you know that you're matched. Okay, so if I go ahead and take a look at this live, you can see that if I roll over Juanis here, he fades in and out. If I roll over that, it shrinks up. Click on that, the background color changes. Click on that and it goes away. So just various different things that I did in here. Silly things. There's no reason for it right now, but if you were making a game or making form objects disappear, or like the samples we looked at in class, you can see the importance of them and how they can be used. So let's first take a look at the change me, which is this first one on the page. So I click on it and I've changed the style to black. Where I'm getting all of these from, if you just go to, actually the best place I think is your jQuery at W3 Schools. It's a little bit more straightforward than the one at the jQuery site. So you can see here, if you go to jQuery, W3Schools/jQuery, it gives you the events. So what can happen, what can trigger something to happen. I can have a click, a double click, a key press. These are all events, and unlike regular JavaScript, I don't need to have an event listener or anything like that. And this is going to give me the samples of exactly how to use it. Handy dandy, right? Not only do I have all the events, I have different things that can actually happen. Like things can be hidden, things can show, fade, slide, animate. You can change the class, you can change the CSS, you can change the dimensions. So that's the kind of stuff I want you to play with. And realize also that W3 Schools is a bit limited. There's even more things that can happen if you go to the jQuery site, but this is a good this is a good way to get your feet wet and start playing with these things. And really, what I want you to play with for this first jQuery rubric is just the events, well, the selectors, the events. You can play with the effects and the CSS. Dimensions classes if you want to play with those, but these are the main things that I want you to play with. So you can see how if I click on this, I want to hide that P tag, whatever I want to do. So this is where I'm getting all of this information. If you're wondering, you know, if I'm randomly coming up with this stuff, no, it's coming from jquery.com and W3 Schools. Okay, so for instance, here I have change me, and I gave you a couple different types of syntax. You can see here I did the on click method, and down here I just said click. Same exact thing. But anyway, change me, and I am putting the $sign first to indicate that it's jQuery. Additionally, I am calling this item change me by its ID. You can see up here, here's the ID. So on click, and then I want this anonymous function to happen, and I'm making sure that this curly brace here is paired up with this curly brace down here. Or excuse me, actually it's this curly brace right here. This on click here is paired with this, or this parentheses here is paired with this parentheses here. So make sure that you're pairing everything up all nice and neat. Here I am declaring this variable this because this is the thing that I'm checking, that I clicked on. I don't actually have to do that. It's handy if I'm going to have a whole bunch of stuff in the function. So if you see that, that's what that is. It's because in the function I may be doing a bunch of different things to this. And so rather than putting in change me or trying to remember what it was, or if I ever have to pass in perhaps the ID as a parameter or something like that, this is just a handy thing. It's whatever I clicked on or whatever triggered the event. So anyway, here I changed my background, and you'll notice I changed the background color. I'm not separating with a colon like I would be if I was actually doing it in my CSS. I am separating with a comma. So I do this, I click on it. Well, I have to refresh it first. I click on it. Whoops. I'm not live. There we go. And it turns black. And that's exactly what I told it to do. When I click on this item, I change my background color to black. Okay, let's take a look at the next function here. I have hide me. Which you can see the ID up here, hide me, is that second list item. Hide me is a click function also. I gave you the other format, the more succinct format, and I just tell it to hide. So, except for I have all that stuff going on here in the, actually let's look at this in Mozilla so I don't have all the handy dandy things popping up. They think they're being so helpful. There, it hid. So you can see everything else I'm doing there. And that was very simple. Hide right there. The blur, I actually put two functions. On Juanis's picture here, I have the ID of blur me. So here, blur me on mouse enter or mouse enter. My function, I'm fading slowly to 0.2% of its initial transparency or initial opacity. Then on mouse leave, this again, I am actually doing a fade to because I tried actually doing a fade in and it didn't work. So I actually am fading to 1% or to 100%. And again, all of this stuff is just from, I pulled this right off of W3 Schools. So you can go in and start playing with these things. That's fade, fade in, fade out, and they have samples. On this one, this is an animate, actually, that moved me, I believe. I used animate on there. What did I do? Oh, actually I did some chaining here. It changes its color to red, and then it does some slide up animation. So let's take a look at that. So did you see my text turn to red and it slid up? It wasn't the background color, it was a text, so it's easy to miss. But see, I changed my CSS color, red, and I'm animating, but it's sliding up here. That's the animate function, and there it is right there. So refresh, changes to red and goes up. So I'm actually chaining those events together. And that is all there is to that. Go in, have fun, go crazy, make lots of stuff happen.